Hello, today I'm going to show you how we can add a new form so that we can capture leads. This idea came up while I was at the SAP Business One Innovation Summit in Nice, France, and they did not have lead capture software. So what I did is I quickly added a form to Versago so that we could capture contact information. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm going to click Add Form. We're going to give it a form name, so we'll just call this Leads. And I'm going to put this under my proof of concept category, and I'm going to give this to the salespeople and the administrator for the roles. And it is just a standard form that I'm going to add, and I'm going to hit our Versago database, and we're going to create a new table at this point. So when we create a new table, we just need to add some fields. So I need a primary key. So the first thing I'm just going to have is a number, and it's a number, and I'm going to make that the primary field. Next, I'm going to add first name, and we're going to make that text field, and 50 characters should be long enough. And now we'll add another field here, and we'll have last name. And again, we'll make that a text field. And here we'll add email, and we'll make that a text field. And in my example, I also just had a use case just to capture some additional information or ideas from the users when I was talking to them. I was showing them Versago. I was showing them some of the different types of ways that we can interact with data. And at that point, I was asking them if they knew of any use cases. So lead capture would be an example of a use case. So I'm going to click submit. And at this point, we now have a form called leads here. And we have our database fields here available for us to build our form. So I'm just going to give this a section title here. We'll center that. We'll save it. And I'm going to insert a row below. And in here, this is where we can now add in our first name, save, last name, save. So I've just added my form, and now I'm just going to save this. And when I sign in, if we go to forms here, you can see that we now have a leads form, and that the first record here is number 1. And at this point, we can capture our data information. So I'm going to save and close this now. And what's happened now is that that data is now available in our database. The next thing I'm going to show you is how we can build a report to capture, to display that information that we just captured. So here, if I just go to the reports area, and we add a new report, and we'll call it leads. And we'll just give it a category of proof of concept again, and a role of sales and administrator. And we're going to get that from our Versago data. And the data source type, we're going to create a SQL select. And if I just say select star from leads here, that was the name of the table that we created. You can see there that I've captured the data here. So at this point, I'm just going to give it the information that I want on the report here and just make this a proper report. So I'm just going to type here for a second. There we go. And there we go. I'll say save, and then we'll go next. And here I could put on a filter if I wanted. I'm not going to have a filter. And now it's asking me how I want to display this data, and that is fine. And we can just now save this report. And if we just go back as Jody here, and if we refresh here, if we go to reports and proof of concept, you can now see that we have a report with our leads. That's how easy it is to capture information in Versago and build out forms and build out reports very quickly and easily using Versago. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how we can have actions that happen after we click save or after we click a button. So in this example, what I have is I have a lead capture action that happens after we click save and close on a form. So the first thing I need to do is map some variables that are going to come over from the form. So first name and email. The next thing I do is I write a query to get that data. Then I format an email and I can define my connection and who I'm going to send it to. So the email, the field email. And here we can just go in and I'll open up the HTML editor so you can see it. So it's going to say, hello, first name. Thank you for stopping by. This is your code for this example. And here we have our link to our solutions and an image that I've inserted using an HTML editor. So you can see here that we can map data that's coming over from the form into the email. And if I wanted to add additional information, it's very easy because everything that's part of the workflow gets mapped here. So you can see here that I have all of my variables. I have, all of the different fields that are being captured. So as we're building out this workflow, all of the data that we're capturing is being passed through. So if we had a connection into Salesforce, all of the Salesforce APIs would be exposed so that we can capture and map that data over. So in this example, I'm just showing you that when we click save and close, it's going to trigger an email to send. Now over here on the form, I do need to tell the save and close that I need an event to happen. So to do that, I just go in and I click on the button and I click on the action. And in here, I'm going to add an action. And we're going to just call this email. And the action type is a service. And here I'm just going to map over to my task ID number 63. So this is just basically telling it to invoke the workflow and to map the first name and the email over to workflow number 63. And this is going to be a action success. Now that we've mapped everything in Versago over to the BizWeaver, we can simply now just go in as the Jody and go to our leads form. Capture information. And when we click Save and Close now, this will trigger an email event, like I showed you in the configuration. So if I just go and log into our Gmail account here, you can see here that we have just sent a lead capture email. And that's how easy it is to use Versago for lead capture, and then triggering events afterwards, such as email or mapping over to systems like Salesforce or back to Business One as a contact or a user-defined table record.